let's start with the game that's gonna kick things off this weekend. Friday's headliner, Portland Thorns versus Houston Dash. This one, we've got a late night kickoff for this, 10:30 p.m. ET at Providence Park. Portland Thorns, the hosts in this one. We've got a couple of teams at the top of the table at the moment. Week 3, early match, early look at perhaps some contenders. And I'm curious to see how this plays out after that international break, because we just touched on it briefly, and this is where we get a chance to talk about it. So we've got several players for Portland who had international duty with their respective national teams, but there's also Houston Dash, who was one of the 2 club teams that played against Mexico during this international window. But not only that, they had 2 players who were, or excuse me, 3 players really, who were with Mexico's national team while they were on this 2-game series of matches against NWSL teams. So Emily Alvarado, someone new to the Houston Dash side, recently added on as a goalkeeper. Diana Ordonez, Maria Sanchez getting action in those games, getting goals in these games, going up against Portland, who after the first 2 weeks are just looking like kind of a little bit of an unstoppable force. So I'm really curious who your pick is in this one, Lisa, or was it just too difficult to lean one way or the other? How are you looking at this?
Honestly, yes, because it is incredibly difficult. You look at the form that Portland Thorns are in at this point. They're back-to-back wins. They're topping the standings, emphatically topping the standings. Sophia Smith coming off her first hat trick, 4 goals in 2 games. She's got 25 regular season goals, the youngest and the fastest player to do that in Sophia Smith. And this is a team that just truly has not missed a beat. Now, coming off this international break, a lot of players getting action during this international window for Portland, for Houston, for the United States, for Mexico, for Canada, for a number of different nations. So how does that player rotation kind of factor into this week and what's happening? Because this also, looking at like the 7-day forecast, like we do when we're looking at the weather, this is also the start of, okay, they play this weekend, and then they play the Challenge Cup that starts next week, and then they play again in a regular season weekend. So we as analysts have to start looking at this, because the coaches and the teams and the fitness trainers are all looking at this 3rd week in the NWSL as 3 games in like 7, 8, 9 days for some of these teams and some of these players. Plus they're coming off an international break. So we might start to see rotation across the board this weekend in the NWSL. Now, specifically looking at the Thorns versus Houston, there's a lot of factors coming into it. I mean, Sophia Smith is one that can't be stopped. She's in such great form. How does she kind of continue to pick off where she left off in the NWSL? She didn't score any goals for the United States over this international break, but she got consistent minutes and she got a good run out there. Now, for this Houston side, as you just talked about, this Mexico international team had a number of players called up from Houston. I'm specifically looking at Maria Sanchez, Diana Ordonez. These front 2 are coming off goals against Chicago in week 2 of the NWSL. They're coming off incredible partnership buildup with Ebony Salmon also in that front line. I think those front 3 between Sanchez, Ordonez, and Salmon are going to ask a lot of questions of Portland. I don't think that this is going to be as dominant of a performance from the Thorns that we have seen in the first 2 weeks. Shutouts, big wins, getting multiple goals. I just don't think it's going to happen. I still think Portland's going to get the win, though, but I think it's going to be much harder for them. I'm thinking like a 2-1 Portland win. Houston gets one. I want Houston to get a goal. I want Portland to concede 1 goal in this one. But I still do think Portland's going to win. They're just a bit stronger at this point in the season, and they really haven't lost a step.
All right. I think that's fair. I think you can make a case for either of these teams, right? I think this is the game where you go back and forth a little bit and you're just like, well, on paper, I'm leaning realistically more towards one team, but maybe anything can happen and you could see possibly a draw in a game like this. I also just think it's really important to note that, yes, I think Portland Thorns, they're in great form right now. And I'm with you. I'm leaning towards them. I'm going to go with them for the pick. Let's just get that out of the water right now. We're both going Thornies in this one. But I think this was a difficult game for me because all of the original factors that you stated already. But this is game 2 on the road for Houston. They've got a pretty heavy road kind of trip for themselves to kind of start off these very early weeks of the regular season. So they already went to Chicago, picked up all 3 points there. Then they had a few players with Mexico. They also had to play a game in Houston against Mexico. So that's not necessarily something where you're like, okay, they've been on the road for weeks and weeks and weeks, but they're back at it and they're going to the West, Pacific Northwest. But this is a team similar to last year, are kind of getting off on that really familiar, strong foot here, where the Houston Dash are really good on the road.
Yeah.
So we saw that from this team last year, and apparently we're starting to see that this year, even with a new head coach. So something that I really liked out of the Dash in their game against Houston, getting to watch them live and sort of see all of these things in action, that apparently this team is incredibly good at making their adjustments. So they took their game 1 against Racing and they said, we're going on the road. We're going to a place where there might be some weather issues. We got to get acclimated to that. Let's take a look at the opposition. There's enough footage out there. How can we how can we take this on tactically? And they know that Chicago plays in a 3-back. They know that there's going to be spaces to exploit. They went and did that. They challenged them with some overloads, and they walked out of Chicago with the win. So I'm very curious if all of these things are going to fall in line and place again for the Dash. Are they going to continue to be this very strong team on the road? Are they going to continue to show that they are able to make adjustments team to team and come out with a result, much less a win? So I am very excited that this is the game, the headline game, sort of kick everything off. Although I just think there's still a little bit more from Portland, and there will be more by Portland to go up against Houston. Yes, there's tons of players on both teams who played in international games. But when we're looking at the minutes management for some of the players on the Thorns, I think that's going to come into play and kind of be the X factor. I'm looking at Crystal Dunn to have a big game for this team, for the Thorns, and have an impact. And maybe people think this game might have a ton of goals, but maybe it's going to be one of those narrow score lines because of all of these little intricate things on both sides of the pitch. So we're both going Thorns in this one. I think we're coming out a little bit hot, a little bit strong. We'll see if we're correct.
We're back. We're back with our previews.
It's dangerous when you and I go 2 for 2 to start to go to begin out the episode. So we'll see. Let's talk about the next game that we have in our top standings battle, because we've got another pair of contenders going head to head. This time on Saturday, another late night kickoff. It's going to be 10 p.m. Eastern time. This one at Lumen Field as OL Reign host San Diego Wave FC. And I think to preface this, I think we need to talk a little bit, bring some news a little bit into this recent announcement by Olympique Lyonnais Féminine out of France. They were refuting or disputing some reports out of L'Équipe saying that American businesswoman Michelle King was interested in buying majority share of their women's team specifically. They disputed that. But in this dispute, they also revealed, by the way, we're actually in the process and interested in selling OL Reign. And sounds like that announcement kind of caught some folks off guard. And now this team is going to get ready to take the pitch against another top team in the league. So one of the statements that came out directly from the club was that they don't really have a further comment on it. They're going to allow the appropriate parties to handle those things. And the players and the coaching staff are focused on the season in front of them and preparing for the next match, which is against San Diego Wave. So we will definitely take a much deeper dive on that when we have to recollect all of the news and notes that take place across women's soccer. And we will have a deeper dive, and who knows, maybe some more information about that. But this is all just the surface level type of info that we have at the moment. And we got to make some picks.
Right.
So we've got San Diego Wave, who are looking good to start their first 2 weeks of the regular season. And we've got OL Reign, who have looked like they have built into the team that we anticipate them to be in this regular season, coming off a 2 0 win against Spirit, and we've got San Diego Wave coming off 2 consecutive wins, back off of the international break. So when we're looking at these two teams, some things that are haunting the OL Reign. We saw them make that adjustment. They broke through on goal, but still a team that can play a lot of lovely soccer, get a lot of shots off, but not quite find the back of the net. Ugh. And we've got San Diego Wave with some goal scorers who are finding the back of the net, whether it's from the spot in Alex Morgan or Jaden Shaw building off of her rookie season. I'm really excited for this match. And it was tough to take a look at a pick and say they're going to go either way. But I love a coaching battle more than anything else. And I'm really excited to get this early look at Laura Harvey and Casey Stoney going head to head. And that's going to be the difference maker for me. It's why I'm going with San Diego Wave to pick up the win in this one on the road against OL Reign. How about you?
I love that. You're going with San Diego. I mean, I agree. The first 2 games that we're talking about, Portland, Houston, OL Reign, San Diego, these are my top games of the weekend, hands down, without a doubt. If you can only watch these 2. I might even give the edge to this one, OL Reign and San Diego, as being my top one that I'm highlighting and circling on my calendar. This game is coming at you from Lumen Field, so it'll be the very first time that OL Reign is playing at home. So it'll be Saturday at 10 p.m., their first home game. Expect the fans to be loud and proud for this OL Reign side. Something that San Diego is used to playing at home at Snapdragon, but now it's behind OL Reign, a team that has been on the road and maybe hasn't played their best football of the year yet. Whereas I think we've seen top performances from San Diego already, from Portland as well. There's a couple of teams out there that we've seen their top performances. I don't think we've seen it yet from OL Reign. Now that they're back at home, they've gotten that international break. Laura Harvey, as you mentioned, with OL Reign and the battle between Casey Stoney against Laura Harvey, like, that is going to be tremendous, which I think to me gives the upper hand a little bit to OL Reign in this scenario, in this situation. Now, San Diego is a tremendous team right now. They are moving and grooving. They've got a lot of shakers and movers on this team that can set up different scenarios. They can attack in a variety of ways. They move really quickly in transition, but then they've also got the presence of mind with Amira Ali or Jaden Shaw, Alex Morgan, of course, in the front line to put their opposition in very difficult positions. And OL Reign can get in those difficult positions. They found themselves almost getting stuck in defensive shape at times, and then looking to spring forward. I think that between OL Reign and San Diego, it's going to be a really fast game. It's going to be up and down and back and forth, even as OL Reign tries to control a little bit more of the ball and a little bit of the possession. I like that you're going San Diego, and I think that's also swaying me a little bit. I'm going to go with OL Reign to get the win. They're back at home. I want the parity in this one between you and me, for us here, for people joining us on YouTube. And I think that this is the game that OL Reign can secure 3 points at home.
You think we're doing this on a Thursday, so we don't have availability reports? Does Rose Lavelle play this game? Yes. And does that change things for you if you see that?
I think she plays. From what we saw for Rose Lavelle getting the call up to the U.S. women's national team, she played in the first game against Ireland, ended up with a very small knock, so she was unavailable in the second match for the U.S. against Ireland. But she made her way to the desk and talked to the broadcast team, and she essentially said, "No, I'm fine. This is 100% precautionary. She's fine. She'll be out there. Rose is playing. She's going to get an assist for OL Reign."
I love it. I love you. You're making a prediction. You're going Reign, and you're throwing in a performance prediction. I love it. Yeah, I'm absolutely hyped and amped up for these 2 games specifically. We wanted to start off the episode giving our preview and predictions of these 4 teams going head to head on Friday and then on Saturday. So we'll see if we're correct in our judgments.